In today's episode, I'm going to walk through different family members you could hire. Should you hire? Does it work well? Does it not work well? Let's start with children because that's probably the most common one I see talked about and the one where most people really want to do it. At the end of the day, I think it's a good goal, right? The goal for the parents is starting at, I want to help set up my kids well. And I've heard if I hire them in my business that I can do that. The truth is, it's not really true. So you have to find work for your kids to do for this to actually work. So if you say, hey, my kid's 16 years old and they're helping me on bookkeeping or they're editing, videos for me, or they're even an intern and they're coming in and just doing different things, then you can pay them an hourly rate. That can work out really well. But you need to understand, right, if you're putting them on payroll, it's not as simple as they just get to take home this money and they don't pay any taxes. Even if they get paid under the standard deduction, they still are going to have to pay self-employment taxes. You're going to pay half, they're going to pay half. My rule of thumb here really is if your kids are old enough to do real work, by all means, do it. 14 to 18, probably a good time. They can actually do some meaningful work, but you have to pay them a fair rate. You'll look across the market, what would somebody else pay them? Maybe that's 15, 20 bucks an hour. Great. Can they work enough hours to get to $7,000 and max out their Roth IRA? That's really the biggest benefit of it. It's not really, can I pay them? The reason why people like it is, yes, it's a deduction to you at your tax rate, flows through to them at no taxes because they're under the standard deduction, minus potentially self-employment taxes. And then they can max out a Roth IRA because you can't contribute to a Roth IRA as a child unless you have earned income. So parents are like, great, how many years can I contribute to a Roth IRA for my child? If I can do this 4 years, 6 years, 8 years, et cetera, that's going to be really impactful. When you think about kids that are younger than that, babies, I'll see all the time people say that they pay their baby, $10,000 a year for baby modeling. This is just not kosher. Like that's just really not going to work, right? Think about it. If you want to pay them $10K and you think the going rate is 20 bucks an hour, that is a lot of hours of baby modeling. I promise you, you are not taking hundreds of hours of pictures of your kids and using it in your marketing. From what I've seen, the youngest age for a court case to be won for a child was, I think, 7 years old. And this was a YouTube channel where the kid was kind of the star. And so that's a very different situation than you own a financial advisory business and you put a picture of your child on the website. That is never going to fly. There isn't the amount of work. This is a pretty highly audited strategy and you're going to lose because you don't have any proof that they did enough work to earn that. With these younger kids, I actually like the strategy better of using a 529 plan and setting it up that they have $35,000 left over. So if a 529 plan's been open for 15 years, once your children have earned income, you can convert the money from the 529 to the Roth IRA up to the yearly limit, up to a lifetime of $35,000. They start working at 18. From 18 to 23, you get to fund their Roth IRA from the 529. They work with you from 12 or 14 to 18. They have earned income then, and then you can do direct Roth contributions for them. You've set them up pretty well, and you've done everything by the book. I really just don't think it's worthwhile trying to pay your really young kids when they're not doing any work. You're just lying about it, and then hoping that you don't get audited someday, and then all of a sudden all that has to be reversed out. You potentially have penalties for it, etc. For kids, super young, I don't think it's worth it. They get to the age where they can actually do work and be helpful. Sure, if they actually are doing it, pay them. Then you can use your own dollars and fund the Roth IRA for them. And then when they're younger, kind of just do the 529 tool. Or if you don't like that when they're younger, you could use an UTMA account, or you could have an irrevocable trust if you don't want them to have the money at 18 or 21. There's a lot of good tools there. What about hiring your spouse? I'll be honest, hiring your spouse is something that we talk about with a lot of our clients. So a lot of our clients have solo businesses or they have smaller businesses and their spouse is actually helping them do things. This could be client gifts. It could be helping on certain admin work. It could be helping on some of the finances. It could be helping on managing cash flow. It could be helping on marketing. There's a lot of things your spouse might be doing that they're not actually getting paid for. And potentially they're not doing anything, but you have some roles that they can do. Hiring your spouse can actually make a lot of sense if it's good for your relationship. Some people can do this, some people can't do it. But if you can do it right, it has some great benefits. Let's say they're going to do some admin work. You're going to be able to pay them $30,000 a year. Well, if you pay them $30,000 a year, they can now One, obviously it comes as a deduction to the business, but then it flows through as income to them. But then they can max out a 401k. So if you have a regular 401k, they get paid $30,000, self-employment taxes, business pays half, you pay half. Then they can max out the 401k at $23,500, and then they'll get some match based on the income and take home the rest. If they're a solo business, then with 30K, they could do the $23,500. You can match 25% of their wages, and then any remaining room available, you could do the mega backdoor Roth. So if they make 50 or they make 70, right? 70 is the best. Can you find a way to get them 70? They do 23.5, they do 25% of wages, and then they get, 20,000 or so into the mega backdoor Roth. The one thing to note here though, with spouses, you do not need to have earned income to contribute to a Roth IRA like children. This is a big misconception. A lot of times I'll see you have one stay-at-home spouse and they're never getting contributions to a backdoor Roth. And that's because they just didn't know that they don't need earned income. As long as the spouse has enough earned income to contribute for both of them, you can do the backdoor Roth for both. With the spouse, it's a great tool. If they're going to work with you or they want to work with you, right, you can basically get a deduction to the business, income flow through, and then funnel at most to a 401k and kind of get a double benefit there versus just one 401k max plus you're saving for their retirement. And then with a solo, this gets even better. The rest of hiring family members is kind of a big question mark, right? You'll have people tell you, don't ever hire friends, don't ever hire family. And I actually disagree. I think it's just about hiring the right friends or the right family. Ryan on my team, my other financial advisor and licensed tax professional, he's one of my best friends. Somebody I've been friends with my whole life. We have a great relationship. He's a hard worker. I can tell him, what I need to say. I don't have to sugarcoat it. He'll listen. He'll make changes. We have a really good dynamic, and I knew I could trust him and that he would work hard. I have other friends I would never hire. I know that they would not be able to do the work. It would be a hard dynamic. And the same applies for family. My dad works with some of my business owners as an outsourced CFO. My dad's really good at what he does. He understands this. We can work together well. Other family members, I don't necessarily think that I could do it. You'll find some business owners will actually hire and bring on parents when they're older, give them some work to do so they can get health insurance and have some other benefits. At the end of the day, it's your business. If they're going to be doing work, you can offer them benefits, you can pay them. It just needs to be reasonable. But I think when we think about kids, it's about, can they do the work? Are they doing the work? Can you prove the work? And if so, great. Let's get the Roth done. Spouses, great for 401ks, but you don't need it for backdoor Roths. For other family members or friends, et cetera, it's really about, are they going to help you in the business? Are they going to solve the role? Is it going to work out well? Is this a recipe for disaster or not? It's less about tax planning there. I've seen the stories of people like, oh, well, my dad has no income, so I'm going to basically pay him. It's going to be a deduction to me. He's going to take it. He's going to gift it back to me. There are some issues that can come about there. It also adds a lot of complexity. What if you give the money to your parent or your sibling and they just end up spending it and not giving it back? I think there's a lot of risk there that people don't think about. Well, that was really all I wanted to talk about on this episode with hiring parents, kids, etc. Just make sure you do it by the book. And if you do it by the book, all of these can be really good tax planning tools and good tools to set up your kids for success in the future. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a like and go follow my page for more personal finance content. And as always, if you have any thoughts, please leave it in the comments below, and I promise to get back to each individual comment. See you next week.